Hello, everybody. Welcome back to 31 Days of Halloween on the Calvin Camp Podcast, the podcast where we talk about everything spooky and chilling. I'm Calvin.
And I'm Anthony. And today we have The Fly, so let's get into it.
All right, everybody. We are back today again for another episode of the 31 Days of Halloween. We're happy. It's day 22. It's day 22.
Yeah, and we're trying to get through the content. This has been an incredible journey. It's been a lot of work, but it's been fun doing it. So hopefully you guys are still enjoying.
And I just want to remind everybody before we get into the episode, the best way to support us is to hit that like and subscribe button. It really goes a long way, and you can follow us on all of our social media, platforms and Spotify and Apple Podcasts, etc. And we have our Patreon, so don't forget to go over to Patreon, click on one of our 3 tiers. It really helps. It really goes a long way, especially towards creating better content for you, the viewers. And we love doing this, so we want to continue to make it better.
Yeah, so any support would be awesome.
Yeah, so just quick reminder. But we'll get into today's episode. Like I said, day 22, we're going to be talking about The Fly, which is one of the greatest science fiction horror movies that I've seen in a long time. I just rewatched this movie, and it's incredible. It's such amazing performances by Jeff Goldblum, especially.
And Geena Davis.
She was really, really good. So, let's just do let me give you a quick rundown then of what The Fly is. The Fly is a 1986 American science fiction horror film directed and co-written by David Cronenberg, produced by Brooks Films, and distributed by 20th Century Fox. The film stars Jeff Goldblum, Geena Davis, and John Getz. Loosely based on George Langeland's I'm terrible with names. His 1957 short story of the same name and the 1958 film of the same name. The Fly tells an eccentric scientist who, after one of his experiments goes wrong, slowly turns into a fly hybrid creature, and the score was composed by Howard Shore, and the makeup effects were created by Chris Wallace, and alongside with makeup artist Stefan Dupis. This movie is awesome. Again, this is rewatching this film. This holds up so well. Its cinematography is incredible, and it's really the way that it tells the story of Jeff Goldblum's character as he slowly is morphing into this hybrid creature is insane. Especially just through visual effect, through the visual makeup of his character, just slowly molding and deteriorating through this entire movie. And I feel like the pacing for this movie is really well done too. It can be a little bit of a slow burn, but I think that it's one of those slow burns that keep you so invested because it is very suspenseful, that you want to see how it concludes. And then, upon reaching the conclusion, the end of this film, it's such a beautiful story.
Yeah, I thought the story was great. I thought the pacing in this movie was great. The acting between Jeff Goldblum and Geena Davis during the whole romance that they're having, along with she's reporting him, covering his story about the greatest experiment ever told. And she documents it on film. And what happens is a tragedy happens. Basically, what happens is he got jealous of her old boyfriend, which is the editor of the magazine that they're trying to put out for Seth Brundle.
Yeah.
So he gets in a drunken panic. He decides to go into the telepod. As he goes into the telepod, a fly makes its way in there, and you see that fly on the window of the telepod. He starts the telepod, and he comes out, and
there you go. His DNA's all messed up now because of the fly.
He is basically turned into a hybrid creature. Geena Davis notices that he's different. He says, I feel good. I feel like I have so much power. He starts to go into a frenzy. Say, you don't understand the whole biological part of it. And then after that, he just slowly degrades and turns into the fly.
Yeah. It's really well done the way that it happens too. His morphing is really really cool. It's also kind of like it's on top of it being this, tragic horror film. It's telling the story of like dealing with like loss and stuff, and watching a loved one like slowly deteriorate over time. And so that's like it's really heavy. It has really heavy like implications within the film itself. Um, and I really really respected David Cronenberg's decisions for that. So I think that by the time that you get to the end of this movie, when he is like completely changed and is like breaking down, it's really it's tragic. Like I said, it's a tragic story, and like he even at the very end he puts the gun to his head and he's just like
Gina Davis didn't want to do it. She's like, no, no. And then she ends up, well, she has to do it. So
Yeah.
she kills him.
you feel really bad and you feel really sad for him, but obviously not beforehand because he is kind of like a freakish monster.
Yeah.
So, and he does, as he's morphing, he does kind of turn more aggressive, and it's one of the things that I love about this film is the makeup. Like I said before, he looks so gross. It's so great. Like
Yeah, the practical effects in this movie are amazing. I mean, Chris Walls and Stefan Dufus,
yeah.
sorry
Dupis,
about
Dupis.
that. They did a phenomenal job in this movie. Just it was great. Just overall showing his deterioration, and looked like he had a really good bodysuit that he was in, maybe in most of it.
Yeah, I could tell that there's definitely obviously some kind of like prosthetics to his body, um, especially like in his face, and like his like shoulder area. Like I felt like it was really hunched and stuff at one point. And then like there are things like when he's looking in the mirror and you can see that his like eyebrow, like his forehead's like a little bit more raised, and like his cheeks are like fucking disgusting and his teeth are like gnarly. So
Yeah. And also is like moving, he's becoming a fly because he's like twitching back and forth, and
very jittery.
yeah,
very,
he's very jittery. He tries to assimilate and put in some data in the computer, and I remember the computer couldn't recognize his voice because I think he was basically losing his voice because he was assimilating to the fly.
Yeah, so it's a really, really great film. I highly recommend it, especially if you haven't seen this before. If you're a lover of Jeff Goldblum in general, like Jeff Goldblum's one of my favorite actors of all time. I think that he is just brings such just he's very charismatic. So
In this film, he definitely is.
and yeah, exactly. So this is just another example of his like just great acting, and I think that it's worth watching. It is disgusting, so if you have a weak stomach, probably don't want to watch it. But
Yeah.
but it is a brilliant film, I think, and it was worthy of talking about this month for sure. This movie did very, very well in the box office when it came out. It grossed in like I want to say 60.6 million.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so 1986. That's a lot of money, especially then. Now that's like whatever. It doesn't even, you can't even film.
Yeah, back in the 80s, that's a huge lump sum of money.
Yeah, so it's definitely very, very successful, and I feel like this is another great example of a great remake as well.
Yes.
So, I very, very much love this movie. I don't know, what would you rate this movie?
I would give it 4 stars. I thought it was a great movie. The acting, solid. Obviously, the practical effects, solid. The score, actually, when it happens in the movie, building suspense, solid. So, yeah, 4 out of 5.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with you as well. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5, and I think that the pacing's perfect. I think the acting's on point. I think that it's really great, and I think the story above all is what carries this film. I think that it's just such a deep tale, especially upon rewatching it, just catching like all of the deeper meaning to all of the scenes. And it's just very emotional. On top of it being disgusting and scary and suspenseful.
Yeah.
So I really love this movie. So I'm glad that we got to do it. Glad that it made it on our first season of 31 Days of Halloween because we're planning more next year. Anthony's like, no.
It's been a lot of work, but I think Calvin will be more involved as the year goes around.
Yeah.
He's just been really busy with life.
There's, it's hard to do a podcast and, do a full-time job, do a full-time family man. Like,
yes.
There's a lot going on. So, but we're getting through it, and I'm glad that we're doing it for you guys. I'm glad that this is working out really well. Let's go into some fun facts.
You got some fun facts for me,
I
Calvin?
have some fun facts.
All right.
So
hit us with some fun facts.
Let's go. In 1987 interview on Sinister Image in 1987, Vincent Price revealed that when this remake was released, star Jeff Goldblum wrote him a letter saying, "I hope you like it as much as I liked yours." Price was touched by the letter, and he composed a reply and went to see the film, which he described as wonderful right up to a certain point. It went a little too far. Let's see. After watching some of the early films, director Martin Scorsese asked to meet David Cronenberg. Upon meeting him, Scorsese said he looked like a Beverly Hills plastic surgeon. This inspired Cronenberg to give himself a cameo as the Doctor.
That's crazy.
The line, "I'm saying I'm an insect who dreamt he was a man and loved it, but now the dream is over and the insect is awake," is a reference to author oh my God, I'm terrible. Zhuangzi. Look at this. What is that?
I can't really read it from here.
Exactly. So, excuse me, famous butterfly dream story. It's also a reference to Franz Kafka's famous short story, The Metamorphosis. The scene with Seth and Ronnie are having coffee at the restaurant, and Seth is talking endlessly, was one half scripted when production began. The remainder was written the night before the scene was going to be filmed, as Jeff Goldblum felt that he could add more to the character, which he does. In this.
Yeah, he does.
Like, he brings, the Goldblum charm. I love it. Let's see. It took nearly 5 hours to apply the most extensive makeup stages to actor Jeff Goldblum. According to David Cronenberg, the line, "Be afraid, be very afraid," was invented by Mel Brooks while discussing how characters should react to the early stages of Seth Brundle's transformation.
Nice, Mel Brooks.
I love Mel Brooks. Spaceballs.
Yep.
The fly's vomit was made from honey, eggs, and milk.
Cool. It actually looked pretty conceiving as regurgitation, like acid.
And I was like,
yeah.
Let's see. Gina Davis wasn't acting when Jeff Goldblum's right ear falls off. Her reaction in the film was genuine, and she was genuinely shocked when it was filmed, and David Cronenberg kept the take of her reaction in the film.
Nice.
Originally, this movie was a project for Tim Burton to direct.
That would have been an interesting movie if I think about it now.
Michael Keaton was offered the role of Seth Brundle, but he declined it.
Oh man, that would have been interesting too.
I know, because that had been like right around Batman time. So,
no, Batman
right?
was later.
Well, when did the first Batman come out?
I believe it was 1989 or 88.
Okay, so like 3 years later. Let's see. Chris Wallace asked Jeff Goldblum to give a physical characteristic to his performance he could easily transfer over to the in-space bug puppet. Goldblum thought about it, then added his trademark twitches, which they could then easily add to their puppeteering. So, good acting.
Yeah, when he was doing the twitches, that was just like he became one with the character, one with the fly.
Eventually played as a double billed movie with Aliens, which was released the month before. So it was a double billed movie. That's cool.
That is cool because they're two wonderful movies.
And we'll do one more. It is loosely based off of George Langeland's 1957 short story of the same name, which I already said before, which is also known as The Fly. So
I'll have to go back and watch that.
I know.
1958 remake. Actually, I'm kind of intrigued by it.
Yeah, like I'm really curious about it because I've only ever seen this one with Jeff Goldblum. So I wonder how loosely based off of it is. That's intriguing. But all right, that's it. That's today's episode, day 22. We have made it this far. We are gonna keep going till we're done.
We're gonna reach the end of the month. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you all so much for watching the Calvin Cam podcast. You can find us on any social media platforms like Instagram or Twitter. Go check our podcast out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music. We also have YouTube channel, the Calvin Cam. Go over there, hit that like and subscribe button, and follow us there, as well as you can now really support us on Patreon.com. It's probably the best place to support us. So you could go there, join one of our 3 tiers, and help us get bigger and better, and we will appreciate you every step of the way. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a good night.